decided I was going to do a little bit of a lecture that came mildly recommended. Or not recommended, requested, I should say. Requested is a better word to use to describe that. I was asked a rather simple question. When I am playing basics, what do I mean by that? Is there a basics lecture that I can point them to as a nice demonstration of what we are going for, more or less, in our basics games? So, for many of you, this is going to be just complete and utter review. If you're not interested in that kind of thing, feel free to click on past. This lecture may not be for you, but for those of you who are actually wondering what exactly I mean by basics, what rules we are going on in that particular series, and why I decided upon these particular sets of, I guess, rules, as it were, yeah, then this might be for you. So, immediately, the first thing we do is start on, either the corners, doesn't matter really which one, but we start on either 3-4 points or 4-4 points. We don't do anything tricky here, like 5-4 or 6-6 or whatever, for reasons that we will get into very shortly. But suffice it to say, there's a very good reason why we choose 3-4 and 4-4 points. 4-4 because it's nice and flexible. Our opponent can approach, and we don't have to care. We can just back off, nice and easy. If we pincer, it's hard to get into a trick variation. If they go into our corner, that's fine. We can just block them. If they jump out, fine. We can just get territory. If they feel inclined to lean on us, fine. We can respond and get territory. If they pincer us, we don't actually have to do anything. We can go away if we want to. It's just a nice, simple stone start off the game that you can avoid complication if you so choose. Or not, obviously, but if you want to, then sure. 3-4 is to add variety, because with the 3-4, we start getting into different things such as low approaches, high approaches. We start to get in different things such as different pincers here. Now let's make things a little bit more complicated. Picking what corner to actually approach to. Actually pretty easy. The side that we're going to respond on is usually the one with the most lines on it. Yes, that is very, very basic. Almost stupidly basic, actually. Kind of feels like we're talking to 30Qs who've never picked up the game before. It's like, yes, just play your stone on the side with the most lines. Kind of feels like you're talking to a child at that point, but it's true. Here, for example, we'd want to approach or do something on the top, because this has, I've mentioned this before, exactly one more line than anywhere else, than either A, nope, that's not it, hey, hello, then either A, B, or C. So we usually give it priority. And if your opponent's not giving it priority, then you should be, having it in mind to do something about that when you get Sente. So we'll use something like that, or something like that. Either way, we're playing on the side that has the most lines. We wouldn't really want to do something like this, typically speaking, because then our opponent gets to approach on the side that has the most lines, and maybe we feel like a little bit stupid about that. It's like, oh yeah, we probably that this was actually technically a little bit of a larger side than this, so maybe we should have played there instead of there. And when we do get into Joseki, we know that's doubly true because of how easy it is to attack and expand from this position. But that aside, that is why we play on the side with the most amount of lines. So let's say we do that. We do that. We avoid Fuseki. And we just, play nice, simple things. And the reason why we avoid Fuseki is also the reason why we avoid uncommon openings with our first 2 stones. Why we tend to avoid, the 5 4 or the 5 3 or 6 6 or 10 again or whatever else. Excuse me. And the reason why we do that is because we don't want to get better on a crutch. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say you play Chinese Fuseki. You start playing a lot of Chinese Fuseki, and don't you know it, your opponents are stupid and they keep approaching exactly where they shouldn't. They keep jumping into the pincer, and you know that's not what they are supposed to do, right? You know they're not supposed to do that because you can get like a pretty good result here. But sure enough, your opponents keep doing that, and you improve. Now you're 1 stone higher, but no one's doing that anymore because they're not that stupid. And what's worse, you're now playing people with a slightly better understanding of direction of play, invasions, things like that. And you don't really have that. You just kind of leveled up off of people playing what they shouldn't have. Another good example, and I don't know anyone who would ever fall into this category, just ever, but for sake of argument, let's just say there was some person out there somewhere, and let's just say that for the sake of argument, maybe you played the 5-4. Better yet, let's grow off the 5-4. There we go. We're growing off the 5-4. And they don't know how to respond to the 5-4. Maybe they're, I don't know, trying to do weird cutty things, and then weird trying to kill things, and we realize that they just don't know what they're doing. So they get really, really bad sequences. Now, like, I don't know anyone who would do this. I don't know anyone who would, find themselves in this position, but let's just say you found yourself in this position. You might find yourself beating, let's say a Fordon. Or anyone else you come across just because they don't know how to deal with this. And that, again, would be bad, right? That would be bad. So we're trying to play in such a way that we don't rely on a crutch. We're not looking for easy wins. We're not looking for trick wins. We're just looking to have a nice, firm foundation that gives us a good all-around solid play. Ladder doesn't work, just saying. Yes, it doesn't work. You're right. I'm sorry. Let's reset up this. Just for you. La 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 la. There we go. Whoops. There. Ladder works now. I think we're okay. Now, where was I? Right, no crutch. So we don't do that. We usually do 3-4s and 4-4s because it's so easy to just like rank up off of stupid things. I legitimately had a friend. Oh, I really want to name drop them. But I won't. Am I that mean? I'm not that mean. They were legitimately ranking up because they learned variations of the Taisha. And then they would play the Taisha every single game they could. And sure enough, they got wins! They got wins! By playing the Taisha! As a Q player, starting around 8K, they just began inviting the Taisha in all of their games. And they were able to win that way! But then they had a problem where people just stopped playing the Taisha or stopped stumbling into the Taisha, and then they found themselves horribly outclassed. Right? So we're trying to avoid that kind of problem. So, we play things like this instead. And then we play largest area. Largest area is technically up top, but we are allowed to approach. It's fine. And then we dodge Chiseki. And then we tell that ad to go away and never come back. Let's see what else here. How else might a basic game go? Maybe something like this. Now, again, just to make things simple, we could ignore the 3-3 in our basic games, but we don't. Like, this is absolutely a larger move right now. Without a doubt, this is a larger move, because we got like a double wing here, got our enclosure, things are looking good. But it's a bit of a timing issue. Like, they don't have to take this immediately. The board could get a bit more cluttered by people playing other things, and we might forget the 3-3 is there, then it's like a value issue, we might fall back behind later. So rather just avoiding all of that crap, we usually wind up entering the 3-3 in our basic games. Just for make things easier on ourselves. Then we revert back to corner side center, corner left. So we're doing that. And if our opponent comes at us, let's say, I don't know, splits, all we're going to do is seek Sente, because there's a corner available still, right? And we're still kind of going back that basic philosophy of corner side center. So maybe they just go ahead and get some kind of, I don't know, base here. We didn't really engage in fighting. We let them off pretty easy because there's a corner remaining. And we're going to go and get that approach into that corner because we go with the whole corner side center philosophy. Now, after that's done, let's say they approach there and we again just settle. Corners and sides are pretty well spoken for. Now we'd be going into the center. Not to kill, mind you, but just to try to profit. So we're trying to look at where that profit is. And on this board, for example, we would see like a bunch of stones over in here. We would see a bunch of stones over in here. We'd have a choice. We could easily say to ourselves, oh, hey, look at me. I can like grow this area, right? Because I got forcing moves. But is that really the largest area? Because basics is all about finding the largest area and trying to play there, because a lot of times your opponent's just not going to see it. They're busy trying to do other things, like they might be busy trying to not play over here and like live in here. And then we won't care because we can approach this still. We won't care because, okay, technically we wouldn't care because we could just kill things. This isn't alive, but in terms of basics, we would be like, you know what, I still don't care because I could attack this and make this live somehow. I don't know how. This how? Sure. And then we can profit over here and build up the top, because that was our second large area that we can profit from. They played here. They got no points playing over here. And then we just took the second one. If all of our moves are giving us points and his moves are giving himself, you know, either no points or very few, then even without counting, we should know that we're either even or ahead in the game. Right? H3, L3, 03 is a good shape. It's got its problems. You can always get the old, you know, throw in here. It's like, hey, you gonna Hane against me? I mean, there's always that possibility. And we can be kept low here. That's true, too. But for the sake of forcing moves, and next largest point, you know, we take it for ourselves. Now, you might say... No, actually, you wouldn't say. There's no way you would say that. You've seen enough of our basic series that you would never say that this kind of thing is not going to work. That, you know, not going in on fighting, just taking large points, and making sure we have shape. I need shape. I need a shape thing. Let's say they get some stuff over here, right? And this is alive. Making certain that we've got shape rather than, you know, going off trying to fight, going off trying to kill, do other things like that. You might say, no, that would never work. But it does, because your opponents tend to play small moves. They tend to get over aggressive trying to attack things too early. I mean, you see in the videos, there's like 100 different things that they'll try and do that's just a little bit too small. D10 looks better. What's D10? D10, I guess, is a move. For what? White? Could, right? Still not making points here. Still weak. Still not really making any points here yet. Still weak. So either way, we're still quite happy with how the game is progressing on a real basic fundamental level. It's not that we're being overly passive. It's just that there are so many large things on the board, we don't have to care about them attempting to fight us. They just don't give us a good reason to just yet. Short of them doing something like... this might be a good example. If they, like, don't defend themselves because they think they're immortal, and then they try to just, like, reduce you, that would be a great example of when technically you could fight if you wanted to. But even here, you still don't have to care. You still don't have to fight here. So this is kind of a bad example. There's the open corner left. We could just not care. Because the worst thing our opponent's going to do there is just get a 2-space extension. Which is not exactly a big deal. It's kind of sort of still no territory, right? So you kind of get the idea of why these kind of things work, right? And we're going to take a bit more of an in-depth example of why these things work using our friends on KGS. Turns out there's a lot of people on KGS right now. Gosh darn it, wouldn't you know it, they're trying to play games. It's true, they are. They are, in fact, trying to play games. I've seen it. I'm seeing it right now. And we're going to use them to help us find examples as to what we're referring to. There we go. So these are two 5Qs playing. The names have been hidden to protect the innocent. And this is another a great example of what I'm referring to. Like, approaching the 3-4 is fine. Building a wall, not logging off of Foxy was not fine. Let's close up for matches. Close for matches, thank you. Building a wall to nowhere. Not really a good direction, but okay. Sure. Trying to fight and just not getting a base and doing something else with their corner kind of goes against what we're referring to, but okay, we got a base. That's good. We got the approach. That's okay. we could, if we want to. I need to do something else. Sorry. View offline. Yeah, there we go. Here, we'd probably just want to get territory, or yeah, and then get Sente, and then play the next largest point, right? I mean, this isn't that large. We can just keep playing the large points right now. Right? It's all good. It's all good. They're not going to do that, though. They're going to fight over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines of territory. Instead of fighting over 7 lines of territory, we could be contesting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of developmental potential. Same thing here. Right. Instead, we're fighting, we're creating a weak group, we're fighting. We're going into the middle now when there's 2 open corners left. That's kind of weird. We're going into the corner again when there's open, right? So your opponents will give you a lot of opportunity to show that you have superior direction of play, that you're not jealous of them getting after their territory until you know, notably have to be. Like if we played something like this, and then we played something like this, and then they played something like this. Now we're in mid-game. Maybe we play here because there's Aji in the corner. Now, gosh darn it, there's just nothing left. Now it's time to fight? No, not even now it's time to fight. We can just keep growing and still not care. Don't have to care in the slightest, right? We get to play all of these moves without even fighting over the top because we just never had to. We got to do all of this instead. Alternatively, we could do this and just start a crazy fight in the middle where we're just trying to rip away everything White was trying to do because we're just being greedy, right? Because our sense of direction, our sense of not value, kind of value, worth, it's just like way off, right? And then this is how we lose games. And then worse yet, in review, what we're gonna say is, like, maybe we defended here, right? And then we give up those stones. It's like, oh, I didn't have to. I could have saved those stones. This didn't have to be territory. I'll remember that for next time. Like, that's not the lesson here. Like, because this is gonna be distracting us for the rest of the game. In endgame, or not endgame, after the game, once we review, we're gonna be tempted to review this. Like, what happened here? How we could have handled this better. When the real question should have been, should we have been in there in the first place? Like, should we really have been in there in the first place? I don't even care. Tell you what, I'm gonna change one of these moves. I still don't even care. Boop. I don't even care. This stone can be over here for all I care. I'm still not gonna care. He can have all of that. And I'm still relatively happy with what I have. Why? Because we have our own thing that we're doing. We've got our own territory. We've got our own places that we're building. Like, look at this. Until we don't have an option of getting, like, what is this? 5th line, 6th line territory? So, like, 5? What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's getting, like, 6? Okay, like, oh, we're gonna go to war over 1 extra line? That doesn't even pretend to make any sense. And, you know, the added benefit of if your opponent doesn't actually defend that, you could just, like, laugh and reduce it all. Right? You could just kind of, like, laughingly go back and live there. So, yeah. Big moves, good. Black won that game, interestingly enough. Let's get up another example. We need a 5Q. Let's bounce to 10Q and then bounce to 1 Dawn. How's that sound? Does that sound good? That sounds great. Alright, you got 9 and a 10Q here, who also don't know that their game is now going to be immortal. 9 and 10Q will be even easier, because they make the mistakes even faster. Only difference between, like, 10Q and 1Q is the speed at which they're going to give you a chance to, like, pull ahead in the game. So we have this minor mistake. This is a very, very risky move, allowing your opponent to get like an even larger kind of thing going on here, but whatever. I changed my mind. This game's invalidated. It has Sanrinsei. I don't want to review Sanrinsei. I'm sorry. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to review the merits of Sanrinsei. I'm sorry. We're looking at 9 Qs instead. We're looking at 9 Qs instead. Exactly what I'm referring to. Exactly what I'm referring to. I was going to play it last week, Lighthawk, and that is its own. That is an entirely its own lecture. I'm not going to break this down into how you play against Sanrinsei, how you respond to the approaches, potential follow-ups, blah 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 blah. We're not doing that. But here's another example, right? 9Q gives you an opportunity immediately to have better direction, because this is not where we want to play, right? This is not the largest side. We can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Can we find a side with more than 9 lines to it? Yeah, of course we can. We can actually find it at A, B, and C. So playing on any of these lines would actually have been better than, or any of these sides rather, would technically have been better than playing on the bottom. But we played there. I don't know what that is. We should play here and be thrilled to death that we're getting the extension. Also basic. We block extensions when there's an enclosure, and we block enclosures when they're extensions. Again! All we have to do when we see moves like this, don't freak out. Give him the stone if you want to. I don't even care. Give him the stone. Here you go, dude. That stone, it's all yours. Way to go. There are larger points on this board. So they could have that little tiny thing that they really want to fight over. That like one little stone at the beginning of the game. Because we're just going to take larger points. This wasn't worth fighting over right now. So we don't care what kind of result we get here, as long as we're just like not in trouble. And here we're not in trouble anymore, so we're going to go take the largest point. Right? And this is the kind of thing we're referring to, and why the basic series works so well. Because as long as we don't get tricked into responding to slow moves, then we outpace our opponent ridiculously. Because they're too busy responding to what we're doing. They don't wind up doing anything for themselves, which means they just don't make extra territory. They're just responding to us the entire time. And like living small with a few points here, living small with a few points here. While we just keep making more, because we know where them large points are and they don't seem to. But yes, they invade everywhere. I think that's exactly what you're about to talk about, right? 1, 2, 3 person? Did I just say exactly what you're about to say? Is that exactly what you're about to say there, 1, 2, 3 person? Now I'm curious. Oh, no, guess not. When the line is drawn between... Type faster. I'm kidding. Take your time. I'll move on and then come back to you. when you finish your thought. So here you can see both 9Qs fighting over the wrong thing. This guy said, please, please let me connect on the second line. And we should be like, okay. Sure. You connect on that second line. I'm just gonna... Darn, you're connecting on up. But who's getting the better end of the deal? I mean, really. When is the line drawn? Taking big points, giving up a fighting when you... Yeah, these are 9Qs. And you can see them fighting in this area. We're fighting over at this corner. I don't know why. There's still humongo areas left. We can like be like, bam, I'm using my wall, or bam, I'm using my enclosure. Instead, we're like, oh no, he has a corner. So 1, 2, 3 person, it's kind of what we're referring to here. Like, could we be fighting here? Absolutely. Do we care? No. Like, we could technically kill this if we wanted to, but I don't give a shit if you can read that or not, really. Like, I don't care if you know that this can be dead, potentially. Giving this up is still absolutely wonderful because we have a strong position. We can take a larger point, right? Now, it's a bit different in certain situations. Like, if you were getting into, I don't know. Oh, God, what should I do? Something crazy. Something crazy. Let's do something that's absolutely crazy. What's crazy here? I don't know. Is that crazy? Is this crazy? This is kind of crazy, right? Like, there's no Joseki here. We can run here if we wanted to. But that way lies the temptation to make things complicated. Like, if we want to, even this is irrelevant. Because we can make that small. We can make that small. We can grow off this. We can still run this out. Like, even now, our opponent has given us no reason to invest in a fight. 0. We have enough large points on the board and other things that we can do that we just have no interest right now, if we don't want to, of taking our opponent up on his offer of a fight. Now, it does get a little bit different. Like, let's say you do something and your opponent just flat out does something silly. Like, you know, fundamentally that shouldn't work in the case of this. I'm not saying you have to back off of everything, even when you know what they're doing should fail. Kind of like this. This just dies. There's no way out of that. Right? Your challenge is knowing when a position is settled. That is challenging. That usually depends on cutting points, bases, and the proximity of your opponent's stones. Like, if we had something like this, I would absolutely respond here, because I've got proximity and a obvious weak point. So I would absolutely respond here. Either by defending here, or jumping, or whatever. If... let's see, what did I say? Proximity? I also said cutting points. Okay. Cutting points. Same thing here. I have a cutting point. There's already a stone there. I would absolutely respond here in a basic game. Unless proximity overrules it. Like, let's say I've got something here already. Well, then the proximity of my allies tells me maybe I can get away with not protecting my cutting points. Whereas if the proximity of my opponent was here, I don't know how this board ever exists, then you have to be on crack not to kill off that cutting point. Because this would not make any sense. How do you continue to defend that if white invades? Invades what? What do you mean? You mean the other variation where we had like this? I mean, this is like way too large of a hypothetical because I would have to see what's on the board elsewhere to know how this happened and all that stuff. Orthodox middle star point. Oh, okay, that's easier. So we have orthodox, we have middle star point. Your opponent invades. Okay. You don't care. Like, do we need to keep all this territory right now? Top's open, 3-3 is open. Do we need all this territory? No, we don't. Invade that? Okay, fine. You can play down, just don't let them go underneath you. Just, like, cut the area in half that you're taking. I don't know. Kick them if you want to. Keep your corner strong. Have them looking for life. And when you think they're out, go away. Take large point. Don't be like, well, you know, I'm gonna invade here. And then be like, oh, they respond, now I need to keep responding, and then they're responding, and now I have to respond. Like, I gotta keep defending. And then maybe that turned into influence, and now we're under attack. You can see how this got messy really, really fast. Like, we didn't have to keep playing here, but we did, and then we made our opponent strong, and then, damn it, they attacked us. Now we have to, like, defend something else. You can go play elsewhere now. We can play here, we can play here, we can play here, we could technically play here. You can play wherever. Now, if all of the large points were taken advantage of, or taken away rather, like, let's say, our opponent took a large point for himself, we took a large point for ourself, and then we got invaded. It's pretty much the same thing, right? After they're out, we just take next largest point. Because we've got like this, and we've got like this. He's got that, and a 3-3 invasion. Seems okay to me. And later on, if we want to, we would even have more forcing moves. Maybe we attack from this side. Right? And then grow the middle. A lot of things we could do. A lot of things we could do. But you see how getting involved in complication, especially early on, usually leads to bad games. Unless it absolutely favors us 110%. It's really easy to go wrong and have bad things happen. Which is why Looking for an example. Here's an example. Got an example. Got an example from the actual basic series. Thank you very much. This is an example from the actual basic series, where we're doing exactly what we've been talking about against the 3Q. We're just playing larger points. We're not getting involved in fighting. We're defending our weak points. We're not getting involved in fighting. We're not getting surrounded. We're not getting involved in fighting. Not trying to kill a stone. We don't care. Instead, we've got 2 invasion points, so we're just going to pick one. Bottom's larger than the 1 stone, so we just go after it. We save our stone, and we save our stone, and we give our stone shape. We never once actually fought the damn thing. Okay, I lied. We did fight the damn thing. Okay, I'm a liar. We did cut through the large knight. But only after we defended ourselves. We took the large point away. We defended ourselves. I mean, look at all these other things that we did first before even thinking about seeing where they were weak. Right? And even now, looking at this board again, I don't have to do that. If I wanted to, I could have played over here, and I could have tried to grow this area up. Or I could have tried to force him to defend, and then grow the area. Like right here, we don't actually have to attack this, because there's so much else going on the board right now that we just don't have to care about that one little stone that's not hurting us. It's kind of like, I don't know. Oh god, that would have been a terrible example. Oh my god, no. What's a good metaphor that doesn't involve killing things? I don't know. I can't think of one. But it's just something harmless. Like, that's just kind of there, you know? You don't have to kill it. For instance, I'm playing this 9Q, he invades, I respond, he responds, I try to Tanuki, and then for some reason invests at that point again. Somehow I get wrecked because he ends up getting too much from the initial invasion while I can't defend the other points that I took. You not being able to defend something is a problem. Because I wasn't able to defend the right over here. I wasn't able to defend that. That's gone. But I spent a move defending other areas that I took. Right? When I invaded, I spent 1-2 moves defending the invasion that I committed to. So I would say something else went wrong in your game 1, 2, 3 person. If you're finding yourself with a lot of points that you weren't able to defend, that sounds to me like you were leaving things weak and overextending. Maybe. I don't know. I'd have to see the game. It's hard to say. But if you found yourself compelled to defend a lot of positions, that means there were a lot of weak points left behind. So I'm kind of wondering why you were leaving them and going off to do other things if you weren't already defended. If that makes sense. But anyway, for those of you who were trying to get a better understanding of how we are playing basics, why we were playing basics, why we don't go off and try to kill things, then maybe you have a better understanding of the rules we're following them, why they're important, and how they work. That said, I hope you continue enjoying the rest of my lovely basic series. I have one video coming out every Friday. So if you need more examples of why they work, you will have more examples as to why they work every week, hopefully. On that note, that's done. I am done with this particular lecture. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.